Armenia has adopted the Statute of the International Criminal Court, the ICC. That means it would have to observe an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin on suspicion of war crimes. Armenia's parliament ratified the Rome Statute on Tuesday. That brings the country under the jurisdiction of the ICC in The Hague. The plan had been strongly opposed by Russia, Armenia's former ally, but ties have become strained since Azerbaijan took control of the Karabakh region. Yulia Shapovalova is standing by for us in Moscow. First, let's go to Bernard Smith, who's live in Yerevan. You are where this is all happening, Bernard. This is no coincidence. Connect the dots for us of what's been happening in Karabakh and this move by the Armenian government.
Cyril, the Armenian government will say that there isn't a major connection. It, in fact, the government signed the Rome Statute back in 1998, more than 20 years ago, but has only just now passed it into law. It's an indication on one side of Russia's waning influence here, not just on Armenia, but also over Azerbaijan. Waning influence because Armenia considers that Russia, in the end, didn't come to its defence and help protect the ethnic Armenians in Karabakh, and Armenia now more interested in making alliances with Europe and the United States. But the government also says that even though it's ratified this treaty, it will not arrest Vladimir Putin should he come here. The government says here it considers Vladimir Putin a head of state, and their interpretation of the law is that he wouldn't be arrested. Nevertheless, as we know, the Russians are not happy about it. Armenia says this is more about Azerbaijan, and by signing up to the ICC, it allows Armenia to bring cases against Azerbaijan. Armenia is interested in bringing cases over the 2020 war, for example. And before it can do that, it needs to ratify the Rome Statute.
OK, if I can get you to pivot fully now to what is happening in the Karabakh region, where almost all ethnic Armenians have fled. What do you know, and we've been trying to find out more about this over the last few days, what do you know about Armenians who have stayed in Karabakh?
We know that there aren't many of them who have stayed in Karabakh. Anything between, from one UN team, anything from between 50 to 1,000 ethnic Armenians are there. We know that some members of the leadership of the administration of Nagorno-Karabakh, when it was administered by ethnic Armenians, they are still there. And we know that Azerbaijan says it's been holding talks with these people. We don't know whether they face arrest or whether they'll be allowed to leave freely. But the Red Cross has also been there, and the UN, they all describe it as a ghost town, a ghost region, because everybody has left. Everyone, 100,000, just over 100,000 are here. Armenia is giving them cash grants for 6 months, urging them to open bank accounts to take those cash grants. And international agencies have been on hand giving out blankets and food for those who are here.
Bernard Smith reporting from Yerevan. Thank you very much. Let me turn to Yulia Shapovalova in Moscow. So Russia will look, or is looking, at this, the adoption of the Rome Statute and signing or accepting the authority of the ICC, I should say, as an extremely hostile move. Walk us through Moscow's position here.
Well, absolutely, and we're getting some first negative reactions from Russian officials right now. So officially, Russia is not happy at all, to say the least, about Armenia's ratification of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. We've heard several times also from the Russian Foreign Ministry that it's unacceptable. It will have negative consequences for bilateral relations. Moscow explained that in the current conditions, when the ICC had issued arrest warrants for the top leadership of Russia, the Armenian partners were asked to refrain from making that decision. But apart from the fact the ratification would mean that Armenia had to arrest arrest Vladimir Putin if he appeared on its soil and hand him over to the International Criminal Court, which issued a warrant for Putin's arrest back in March. So apart from that, earlier in September, when Prime Minister Pashinyan explained the decision to join, because in his opinion, the Collective Security Treaty Organization and the Armenian-Russian relationship were insufficient to ensure the country's security, something that Moscow was not pleased to hear at all. So Armenia's intention was considered unfriendly, and on September the 8th, the Armenian ambassador was summoned to the foreign ministry as well.
Look, Armenia and Russia are formal allies. Do you see this causing a real breakup between the two?
Well, technically, the breakup between the two countries is hardly possible, even though currently the relations have soured due to the Karabakh conflict, and there may be some serious political differences and accusations from both sides. But the country's old, their centuries-old ties, economic relationships, support and friendship can't be completely destroyed. You know, Yerevan insists the decision is not aimed at Moscow. According to Armenia, as it was mentioned, it intends to use the International Criminal Court to hold Azerbaijan accountable for what it calls war crimes and attacks against Armenia and its people. And it is an argument. Why wouldn't we trust it? After all, Vladimir Putin is not forever, and one day he will go, believe it or not. But a Rome Statute is there to stay, at least for a while.
Yulia Shapovalova reporting from Moscow. Thank you very much.